Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of World Panorama with me, Frank Pereira, on Rajya Sabha television. Over the next half an hour, we'll bring you a roundup of all the significant events to have happened around the world this week. But first, a look at the headlines. Barack Obama returns to his hometown Chicago to give his presidential farewell speech, defends legacy and warns Americans to defend democracy. Also says he's committed to a peaceful transition of power. Donald Trump, for the first time, publicly admits Russia may have been responsible for hacking ahead of the US election, but disputes intelligence reports that Moscow acted to help him win. More than 50 people killed as deadly attacks rip across Afghanistan. Suicide bombings near Afghan parliament in Kabul. 2 other explosions at Kandahar and Helmand provinces. And former Iranian President Akbar Hashmi Rafsanjani passes away aged 82. His death seen as a big blow to moderates and reformists deprived now of their most influential supporter in the Islamic establishment. While conceding disappointments during his presidency, yet offering vigorous encouragement for the nation's future, Barack Obama issued an emotional defense on Tuesday night of his vision to Americans facing a moment of anxiety and a dramatic change in leadership. Obama's valedictory speech in his hometown of Chicago was a public reflection on the trials and triumphs, promises kept and promises broken that made up his 8 years in the White House.
Michelle and I have been so touched by all the well wishes that we've received over the past few weeks. But tonight it's my turn to say thanks.
True to form, President Barack Obama capped his 8 years in office with a farewell speech that asked a polarized country to resist division and come together in a sense of common purpose.
The future should be ours. But that potential will only be realized if our democracy works. Only if our politics better reflects the decency of our people. Only if all of us, regardless of party affiliation or particular interests, help restore the sense of common purpose that we so badly need right now.
Obama made a case in defense of a policy legacy that is now at risk of piece-by-piece decimation. But he resisted calls to speak out directly against President-elect Donald Trump and his agenda, instead couching a warning about the fragile state of American democracy in his signature vocabulary of unity.
But that's what we did. That's what you did. You were the change. You answered people's hopes. And because of you, by almost every measure, America is a better, stronger place than it was when we started. In 10 days, the world will witness a hallmark of our democracy. No. The peaceful transfer of power from one freely elected president to the next. I committed to President-elect Trump that my administration would ensure the smoothest possible transition, just as President Bush did for me.
The speech acknowledged the unfulfilled hopes of some of the people who voted for him in 2008 and turned 8 years later to his antithesis. Obama noted the cynicism of the disappointment of people who believed his victory meant the end of racial division. He insisted, though, that the United States is still a country on the rise.
Our progress has been uneven. The work of democracy has always been hard. It's always been contentious. Sometimes it's been bloody.
Obama also paid an emotional tribute to First Lady Michelle Obama during his final address as president, calling her his best friend.
LaVon Robinson, girl of the South Side. For the past 25 years, you have not only been my wife and mother of my children, you have been my best friend. You took on a role you didn't ask for, and you made it your own, with grace and with grit and with style and good humor. You made the White House a place that belongs to everybody. And a new generation sets its sights higher because it has you as a role model.
The country's first black president, Barack Obama, now 55, was first elected in 2008 on a message of hope and change. His successor, Donald Trump, has vowed to undo some of Obama's signature policies. He will be sworn into office on 20th January. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, joining me for a chat this week to talk about Obama's legacy is former Ambassador Shiv Shankar Mukherjee. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining me on the program.
Thank you.
Looking back at Barack Obama's tenure as president, what would you say were the main takeaways? What were his, hits, really? So if you can call it that.
Well, obviously it's a mixed bag, but if we can just separate it into, his role as president for America domestically, and his foreign policy, I think almost as soon as he became president in 2008, he was faced with probably the most unprecedented economic crisis since the Great Depression, which was, the financial tsunami that hit that year. And in retrospect, one must say he dealt with it effectively as a president. On other domestic issues also, I think when one looks back over these 8 years, if one can say in just one sentence what he achieved, as the first black president of the United States of America, a nation that has in its history the whole history of slavery, and which reflects itself in today, which is still a racially divided society. He lived as president under a microscope, one must remember that. So I would say that I'd probably give him very high marks for representing America, representing the American people within America and outside with the greatest of dignity, and with, I think, more success than failures. So he leaves office with his head held high on that score. On foreign policy, there were some notable achievements. The Iran deal, Cuba. He claims, of course, the progressive ending of the prisoners in Guantanamo Bay as one of his achievements, and so on. There have been what the world recognizes as, failures also, in the sense that if you look at American policies in the Middle East, for instance, I mean, one cannot doubt that they have brought that entire region into a total mess. Whether you can attribute that to Mr. Obama or various other factors is another matter. But on balance, I think he had 8 years of a very tough job as the first black president of America. He did that without a whiff of scandal. He did that with dignity. He earned, as the head of state of the most powerful country of the world, he earned the respect of leaders worldwide by and large. So on that, given the factors that govern that very powerful office, I think one can say that he leaves as a reasonably satisfied. He leaves reasonably satisfied that he did his job reasonably well. However, there's just, if one thinks about what he thinks as his legacy issues, they're obviously under threat with the new president-elect about to take over as president in, I think, less than a week. Obamacare has just been voted out, and that was, I think, closest to his heart in terms of domestic policies. it was for the first time that millions of uninsured Americans found a way to be insured health-wise. Then the last 75 months, I think, successively, the Obama administration takes credit for having continuously created jobs. In the US. So on those grounds, I think he would, on climate change, America asserted its leadership in the Paris Agreement. And that also, I think he referred to that in his speech as one of the achievements of his presidency. All that is under threat with the new president. And I think if you analyze his speech, apart from talking about his 8 years and the successes and what he hopes would be his legacy for the United States of America, I think much of it was a warning to Americans that they're in for tough times under Donald Trump.
Indeed.
It's going to be a very illiberal an America that is perhaps not going to be encouraged to go the way the Obama administration did under the new administration, and the warning included that that would be a wrong thing, that America would succeed only if it was inclusive, if it was liberal. He even referred to the discrimination against Muslim Americans by name and so on. So there were both things in the speech, I think.
Sure. But does Obama hand America in far better shape than he inherited it in 2008 to Donald Trump now in 2016 or 17?
Well, I really don't know how to answer that question without any, shades of gray. It's not all black and white. He inherited an American economy which was about to collapse under the financial tsunami of 2008, and he had to sort out that problem. So you have a president, any president or any head of state anywhere, who can come into office and then face challenges that he never even thought of, which you cannot attribute to your predecessor, but these happen because of certain global situations. So I think he hands over an America that, for no fault of his, I think, is very racially divided. In fact, the British flag is called the red, white and blue. I think the Trump presidency really can be described as red, white and blue. Rednecks, he's been voted by a combination of rednecks, blue-collar workers and whites. It's a white clash that, and jobs and xenophobia, to put it very baldly, that brings President Trump to power. I think the warning in his speech, really, to go back to Obama's speech, is that he hopes that President Trump will be different from candidate Trump.
Indeed.
And he expresses the warning that if he isn't, America is in for tough times.
Indeed. All right. We'll have to leave to that, Ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us.
Thank you.
Well, on that note, of course, it's time for a short break. Still to come, former Iranian president and founding member of the revolution, Akbar Hashmi Rafsanjani, passes away aged 82. The death of the veteran pragmatist is seen as a blow for Iran's opposition groups. That and much more still to come. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, Donald Trump addressed a news conference on Wednesday where he finally conceded he believes that Russia did meddle in the US election. However, he categorically rejected media claims that Russia had compromising information on him, saying the allegations may have been leaked by US intelligence agencies. The president-elect emphasized that his political opponents were trying to undermine his presidency.
As far as hacking, I think it was Russia, but I think we also get hacked by other countries and other people.
US President-elect Donald Trump saying for the first time that Russia was responsible for hacking ahead of the election. But he rejected reports that Moscow acted to help him win. Trump also denied claims that Russia had damaging information about the president-elect's business interests and evidence of his private life, including claims of using prostitutes at a hotel in Moscow.
And I think it's a disgrace that information would be let out. I saw the information, I read the information outside of that meeting. It's all fake news, it's phony stuff, It didn't happen.
Donald Trump also addressed questions about his relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He made his remarks in his first news conference as president-elect.
If Putin likes Donald Trump, I consider that an asset, not a liability, because we have a horrible relationship with Russia. Russia can help us fight ISIS, which, by the way, is #1 tricky.
During the press conference, Trump insisted on moving speedily to replace Obamacare. He also pledged a swift action on building a wall along the border with Mexico and nominating a new Supreme Court justice.
Obamacare is the Democrats' problem. We are going to take the problem off the shelves for them. We're doing them a tremendous service by doing it. We could sit back and let them hang with it. We are doing the Democrats a great service.
Trump also said that he had formally handed complete and total control of his business empire to his sons to avoid any conflict of interest. On 20th of January, Trump will be formally inaugurated as America's next president, replacing Barack Obama in the White House. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, former Iranian President Akbar Hashmi Rafsanjani died on Sunday at the age of 82. His death is seen as a big blow to moderates and reformists deprived now of their most influential supporter in the Islamic establishment. Iranians bade farewell to the founding member of the revolution on Tuesday with a sprawling state funeral. Akbar Hashmi Rafsanjani, the former Iranian president, died on Sunday aged 82. He has been described as a pillar of the Islamic revolution. His pragmatic policies, economic liberalization, better relations with the West and empowering elected bodies appealed to many Iranians but were despised by hardliners. Few have wielded such influence in modern Iran, but since 2009, Rafsanjani and his family faced political isolation over their support for the opposition movement, which lost a disputed election that year to President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Senior Iranian officials and figures, as well as relatives of Rafsanjani, visited a mosque where his coffin was brought for final prayers at Demaran Prayer Hall, the famous residence of the founder of the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini.
Our people are always appreciative and we sincerely thank them. He started to feel bad in the evening and was sent to the hospital. The medical team there tried to recover him, but CPR efforts failed.
He was worried about the people. I mean, during these times we spent with him, he was always thinking about the people, and the people are very kind to us. Right now I have a feeling of disbelief.
Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif held back tears as he paid tribute to the former president.
We have lost one of the greatest pillars of the revolution, friend of Imam Khomeini, friend of the leader.
A crowd of supporters also gathered to mourn the death of Rafsanjani.
At the very first moments of the incident, I got the news through social media and I became really sad. I was going home and I decided to be among the mourning people.
Rafsanjani headed the Expediency Council, a body which is intended to resolve disputes between the Parliament and the Guardian Council. He was also a member of the Assembly of Experts, the clerical body that selects the Supreme Leader, Iran's most powerful figure. His death ahead of May's presidential elections is a blow to moderate President Hassan Rouhani, who allied himself with Rafsanjani to win the 2013 election and went on to resolve Iran's long standoff with the West on the nuclear program. Rafsanjani's funeral was held in Tehran on Tuesday. Iran also announced 3 days of mourning, including a public holiday on Tuesday for Rafsanjani, who was president from 1989 to 1997. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television. Well, much else has unfolded around the world this week. Here's a roundup of the other international news of the week in Globe Watch.
Dozens of people were killed in a series of militant attacks on Tuesday throughout Afghanistan. Up to 30 people were killed and 80 wounded in twin bombings near the parliament in the capital, Kabul. Blasts at the governor's guest house in Kandahar killed at least 11 and injured 14, including the UAE ambassador. In Helmand province, a Taliban suicide bomber targeted a guest house used by an intelligence official, killing at least 7 people. The Kabul blast took place during rush hour as staff were leaving the parliament complex. Militant group Taliban claimed responsibility for the twin bomb attacks in the center of the capital. A suspected suicide bomber killed at least 10 people and injured 17 people in a high-security area of the Syrian capital Damascus. The bombing occurred near a government-run sports club in the Kafr Suhair west of Damascus. The state TV Sana reported that the explosion occurred when a suicide bomber detonated his explosive belt near the club. In another incident, a series of explosions ripped through Meze military airport on the western outskirts of Damascus. US President Barack Obama awarded an emotional and surprised Joe Biden the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest US civilian honor. Obama praised his vice president for his faith in fellow Americans, for love towards the United States, and a lifetime of service. The award comes as both men prepare to leave office when Donald Trump is inaugurated on 20th of January. Biden has said he plans to stay active in Democratic Party politics. The US Senate has taken the first major step towards repealing the Affordable Care Act after a marathon voting session that started Wednesday evening and extended into early Thursday. Following the 51-48 vote, the resolution will now go to the House of Representatives that is expected to vote on it this week. Republicans say that the process of repealing Obamacare could take months and developing a replacement plan could take longer. However, they are under pressure to act fast as US President-elect Donald Trump on Wednesday said the repeal and replacement should happen essentially simultaneously. A Hungarian camera woman who was filmed kicking and tripping up migrants near the Hungary-Serbia border has been sentenced to 3 years probation for disorderly conduct. Petra Laszlo was filming refugees in September 2015 as they broke through a police cordon. She was captured kicking 2 people as they fled, including a young girl. Later, she appeared to trip a man carrying a child. She said she will appeal. The judge said that Laszlo's behavior ran counter to societal norms and rejected her defense lawyer's argument that she was trying to protect herself.
Well, let's now shift focus and bring you up to speed with all the sports news you might have missed in sports action. Real Madrid set a new Spanish record of 40 matches unbeaten as Karim Benzema's 93rd minute goal snatched a 3-3 draw at Sevilla in the Copa del Rey last 16. Zinedine Zidane's side were last beaten by Wolfsburg in their Champions League quarter-final first leg in April. Barcelona held the previous record of 39 games set under manager Luis Enrique between 2015 and 2016. Thursday's draw means Real progressed to the Copa del Rey quarter-finals as 6-3 winners on aggregate. The contest for the Laureus World Sportsman of the Year award promises to be one of the most competitive ever, with the likes of Usain Bolt, Cristiano Ronaldo and Andy Murray contesting for top honours. The nominees for the World Sportsman of the Year award also include 5K and 10K Olympic champion Mo Farah, basketball duo Steph Curry and LeBron James, besides Bolt, already a 3-time Laureus winner, Ronaldo and Murray following a ballot by the world's media. Britain's world number 1 Andy Murray has committed to compete in the Aegon Championships at the Queen's Club for the rest of his career. The Wimbledon warm-up tournament has proved to be Murray's most successful hunting ground as he has hoisted the supersized silver cup a record 5 times. Last year, his Queen's Club triumph sparked off a season to remember for the Scot, who won a second Wimbledon title and a second Olympic gold medal before finishing as world number 1. 5-weight boxing world champion Floyd Mayweather has offered the UFC champion Conor McGregor $15 million to face him in the ring. Mayweather retired unbeaten in 2015 but said a bout with Irishman McGregor, who has a boxing license, was the only thing that could tempt him back. McGregor has previously said he wants $100 million to fight Mayweather. Mayweather, who retired from boxing with a perfect 49-0 record after defeating Andre Berto in September 2015, said initial talks with McGregor's representatives had taken place. China faces a ban from international weightlifting competition after 3 of its athletes failed doping tests. The International Olympic Committee has stripped 3 of their gold medals won in Beijing in 2008. They were among 8 athletes sanctioned for doping, the latest to be caught under a retesting program. The International Weightlifting Federation last year ruled any nations with 3 or more positive tests would be banned for a year. The IOC is retesting hundreds of samples from the 2008 and 2012 Olympic Games using new techniques to uncover cheating that went undetected at the time. And finally, one of the world's most challenging dog sled races kicked off in the Alps as internationally renowned mushers and their dogs set off in the opening ceremony for the Grand Odyssey. Set among snow-capped mountains between Savoy and Haute-Savoy in France, 500 dogs will race across the Alps in a series of challenges over 11 days. The tournament opened in the Les Carrozes ski resort, where large crowds gathered before dawn to cheer on the mushers and their dogs. I'm going to leave you with these visuals from the Alps. See you again next time.